summer rain. Maybe I'm overreacting to this whole thing, being too dramatic, overthinking, getting myself worked up over nothing. But baby, you said it's over, but cry on my
Today I'm here with the Corona family and the Hispanic. My heart is very happy. I love to help people, but you know, I can relate to my Hispanic community.
I know you said we fell in love, boy, that's just how it goes. It's hard to move on when you hold my clothes. Picture you, baby, and somebody else is killing me softly. I can't know myself.
Hi everyone, my name is Deyaniracavazos and I'm an LPC-associate from the state of Texas. I also own my own virtual private practice called Co's Mental Health Services. If you're new to my channel, welcome or welcome back. I'm really looking forward to the weekend, but for today I have 3 therapy clients that I'm going to be seeing. Normally I would have supervision today, but me and my supervisor ended up picking a different day, so I'm going to have just my therapy clients today, and I'm going to also be doing content creation, so I'm going to bring you all with me for that behind the scenes. And we're not leaving anywhere, we're staying home to do that, but you're coming along. So right now it is currently 10:49 a.m. As you saw, I already went through my morning routine. I ended up purchasing a treadmill, which has been a game changer, especially for me working from home, being able to just get my steps in. And then so because it is 10:51 a.m. right now, I am going to be seeing my client at 11 a.m. and I'm really looking forward to catching up with them. I have been feeling very emotional this week. Me he puesto súper sentimental porque me he quedado pensando en nuestra comunidad y viendo cómo mis clientas, estas mujeres, están sanando, están haciendo el cambio en sus familias y para ellas mismas simplemente vivir una vida plena, una vida que puedan disfrutar porque se lo merecen, aunque han pasado por traumas, por cosas difíciles. Y me da tanto orgullo poder ser parte de eso, porque es algo que, pues es algo con lo que siempre he soñado. Desde que estuve en la escuela tratando de salir adelante, trabajando, estresándome, chillando, toda la cosa para poder salir y hacer lo que estoy haciendo hoy. Y me da tanto orgullo. It's all been worth it, getting to see my clients felices, disfrutando más la vida, teniendo conversaciones con su familia que nunca han podido tener acerca de la salud mental, acerca de sus síntomas, cómo se sienten, cómo ven la vida, simplemente a veces dándose a conocer con sus familias. Es algo tan importante en nuestra comunidad, because when you are children of immigrants, there's just this disconnect and this canyon that's formed, and I feel like a book that I read recently just describes it perfectly, where there's this disconnect between you and your parents and it just keeps growing bigger and bigger. And to see some of my clients and some of their parents or some of their families making also the effort, you know, to try to get to know them, to try to help them, and also seeing some of my clients who don't have that, who don't have the support from their family, creating those supports for themselves and choosing to heal for themselves has been so special. I've been so emotional this week too, like even just getting to be there for my clients during some really crappy and hard moments in their lives, things that, you know, they didn't cause, just really horrible things that just happen, and getting to be there for my clients and knowing that I might be the only person who is there for them, you know, during this time. Yeah, I just love what I do. I love what we get to do in our profession, and that's why it's so important that we take time to rest, descansar, you know, to just despejar la mente, take a break. And that's something that I'm looking forward to this weekend, because actually this week has been a very heavy one, you know, for me personally, making space for my clients. Just a lot of things have been happening, and there's also been a lot of really good things. So it's just my emotions have been through a roller coaster this week, through highs, through lows, and I'm really looking forward to just like regrounding, you know, and spending some time plugging into my own self-care and especially recreational activities. So I will go ahead and leave you for right now because I have to go ahead and prep. Talk to you in a bit. Hi everyone, so I just finished session and I'm gonna go ahead and have a snack. Having some of these, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep watching the Cesar Millan show that I was watching right now. I love that show right now. If you're looking for something that's just wholesome and comforting, there's been some episodes of some dog parents who are also therapists, which has been really interesting to watch. And if you have never heard of the show or anything, it's basically about Cesar Millan, who ends up training humans and their pets to learn how to work with each other and have a better relationship because they've been having issues with their parents. And I love how he always brings it back to, like, if you as a human are in a calm state, then your dog, your pet will be in a calm and surrendered state. And I love how he always brings it back to, if you're anxious, your dog will be anxious when you're walking him. That is the root of the issue. So I'm just sitting here having the best time watching this. We're gonna go ahead and move into content creation. You and I, we're gonna go ahead and pick out some books because it is time for me to do another book recommendations video. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Oh, hold on. Hello. Okay, sorry everyone. I was actually just answering a call for a friend giving a work reference, so just finished doing that. But as I was saying, I'm gonna go ahead and bring you along with me to pick out the books that I'm going to end up using for a book recommendation video that I'm gonna share on TikTok and also on Instagram. I also finished my session with my client and it went really well. It was just so good to know that things are going well, and we ended up working on other things. So I'm going to be sending some homework related to coping statements. That's something that's really important sometimes, because if I ask a client, how's your self-talk when it comes to the certain area that you want to focus on, whether it be body image or whether it be trying to be kinder to yourself, or you were having a rough day, some of my clients may not have the words or may not know what to say, you know, have never heard kind words possibly, you know. So I like being able to send them examples tailored to exactly what they need. So I'm going to go ahead and send that off as homework for my client. I'm going to create that later for them to practice throughout the month. And that's also been really huge because some of my clients I do see monthly, and it's always so interesting to me when I hear from other therapists, and I get where it comes from too because of the research. But I think it's also important to ask ourselves where that research comes from, who it's meant for, who it benefits, and who it doesn't benefit, and who wasn't taken into account. And specifically, it's usually POC clients. So with my specific client population, I work with Latina women and adolescents. I do offer the choice for clients to choose to see me once a month because financially that might be very beneficial for them. Also with their busy work schedules is something that I have to take into consideration, school schedules. And some of my clients who have experienced very traumatic things, they may not be in the frame of mind to be able to see me weekly and work on those things. They might need more of a space. So some clients, they'll start off monthly, and the more they feel comfortable, they might end up, you know, seeing me a bit more, or some clients will end up spacing out more, and it completely depends. And I love getting to offer that option. And a lot of my clients I actually do see monthly, so I have a very large client caseload, you could say. I see a lot of clients, but some of them I end up seeing weekly, which is very few. bi-weekly, which is a good cluster, and then monthly is one of my largest clusters of clients. And I'm glad to be able to offer that option, because some of my clients, even if they did have the finances to be able to see me more, they like the monthly option because it works with their schedule. And like my own supervisor has said, it is congruent with the population that I work with and how I'm trying to help, you know, my community and that population. So I wanted to talk about it because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. It's something that tends to be a bit more hush hush from other therapists, and I think that's because other therapists fear like if I talk about that, then people will comment on it or say that what I'm doing is wrong. And I completely get where that's coming from. So it's interesting, I know, that I'm sharing it online with all of you, but I think it's really important to talk about. And I fully respect the fact that other therapists don't want to do that or have boundaries with that and don't want to do that. Specifically for my practice, it works. It's something that I continue to do. I've seen the benefits that it has for my clients, so I'm going to continue to do that. And I am always super respectful if other therapists think differently, because all of us have different styles, different approaches. But I did want to share that because I don't see anyone really talking about that. I definitely see more of the narrative of see clients once a week, once every 2 weeks, because that's how it's supposed to be. And I think it's important regardless for us to question, is that the way it's supposed to be, or is that the way we've been told that it's supposed to be and we haven't kept up maybe with newer research, or we haven't tried something different, going back into our rule book and seeing what's actually things that we have to do and what are things that we've just been suggested or told to do. So those critical thinking skills are very important for what we do too, and stepping out and making decisions that are going to be best for our clients and our population, even if it's not the popular thing to do. So that is what I have been focusing a lot in. I did that in little spurts back when I used to work at the other practice that I was at that was not my own, and I saw how it benefited, you know, some of the clients that I worked with. And so when I opened my own practice, I incorporated more openly, where I let clients know who reach out to me. I give you the option. I let them know on the consultation call. You have the option to choose if you want to see me once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month. In an ideal and perfect world, you would see me maybe once every 2 weeks, you know, to get started, but take into consideration your lifestyle, what's going to be doable for you. We might get into some, you know, hard things. Like I tell my clients, we might open up a cajita, a box, you know, of emotions, of memories that you weren't planning for, and it could, you know, be very emotionally taxing for you. That doesn't mean every session will feel that way, but it could. So it's important to, you know, make sure that you have time to process the things, to put things into practice that we talk about in session. And for the client population, the working Latinas in their 20s to 40 range that I work with, having that monthly option has been crucial for them to even be able to have access to therapy. And I feel like it's a really good option too, where I am getting paid what I deserve to be getting paid for my work and what I need to be getting paid for my work. But it also gives clients an option to be able to say, you know what, let me pull back a bit, let me consider my finances, because at the end of the day, what matters most to me as a therapist, you know, I'd rather have them in therapy even if it's once a month and they get benefits out of it than completely nothing. So please do not believe the narrative that clients can only heal and benefit and process things and see progress if they're seeing you once a week or once every 2 weeks. That's not the case for every single client. And I know that there are therapists that will fight me on that, and that is perfectly fine, because we all have to choose what's going to be best for us. And it's okay, you know, it's okay to do things differently and to consider your client population, because maybe with your client population, seeing them once a week is what's going to benefit them most and what's needed. And part of what I've really loved about working with my supervisor is her helping me build that confidence in making my own decisions, which has been so huge and helpful for me, especially now that I'm gradually inching toward finishing my hours, you know, feeling confident that I can make my own decisions when I'm making my treatment plans, when I'm considering my clients. Okay, so I have some of these books up here, so I'm thinking these are the books that I've already read. Some I keep in my therapy office, but the fiction ones I tend to keep out here. this one, possibly this one, for sure. This one, sure, this one. Okay everyone, so I have my stack of books here, and funny enough, this ended up really being more of like a fiction mental health book stack with Latina rep, which I'm not mad about. I was thinking of doing something like that, and I've been reading more books like that, so that's what this video is going to be, this book rec video, because I think I want to hold off, because even though I have read The Sugar Jar, I want there to be more of a balance of like the self-help inspiration type books like that. I want that to at least be a bit more balanced. A lot of my clients are actually really liking fiction and learning through storytelling and learning about mental health and family dynamics in that way. So I think this is really going to be a fun reel, because I have all of my favorites here that I've really loved that really do tackle those family dynamics and have that Latina main character, Latina rep. And so just to show you all of them that are going to be there, I have Somewhere Between Bitter and Sweet. I have Twice a Quinceañera. I have How Moon Fuentes Fell in Love with the Universe. And even though I've included this in past videos, I want to include it again because I love it so much. And some people might not have seen my past book rec videos, so I always like to include some of the same books. And then I have A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow, and then Once Upon a Quinceañera. So I'm gonna go ahead and rest right now because I have my client at 1:30 and it's currently 1:10. So we picked out the books. After I finish with my client, I don't have the next one until 5 p.m. So we're gonna go ahead and set everything up.
Place, dispatch you from a race. My heart, it started racing. The crowd across the way, flowers on your face, and then I'm from the 80s. Someone keeps blocking my way. I can't feel farther away. Wait on a moment to say that I want you. You know that I want you.
Okay everyone, I am so tired. It is currently 4:12. I'm just gonna rest for the rest of the evening because I have one last client session at 5. I finished editing and uploading the TikTok and the Reel. So basically I ended up just editing everything on TikTok. I didn't use CapCut. I wish I could show you the music, but I would get copyright strikes, so I can't. But go watch it on my Instagram or on TikTok if you want to see it. So it's right here. I really love how the video turned out. I'm really proud of it. I love the music. I love everything about it. And when I ended up writing on the description down below the video, I put, "Hi, hola, it's time for some more book recommendations. All of these books are adult or YA fiction, and I also love recommending books like this to my therapy clients. Research centered on Latina mental health shows that connecting with your culture is a protective factor that has been linked with fewer symptoms of depression, anxiety, and self-doubt. It's important to also read things that we feel represented in because culturally, through generations and ancestrally, we also learn through storytelling. Getting to read about a main character dealing with similar family dynamics, learning to set healthy boundaries, generational trauma, working on relationships with friends or partners, healing, or living with mental illness in the form of anxiety or depression can be a very powerful and validating thing. These would also be great to buddy read with amigas, primas, or other loved ones to talk about. Sometimes it's good to take a break from self-help books, and I love each of these, so I hope you enjoy them too." So that's what I ended up writing. My brain is just, she's done. She's like, "No ma'am, we are done." We are done for the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rest since I have my last client session and just watch something and kind of zone out for a little bit. But I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me and getting to see all of this.
And stay calm, confident. Call anytime.
Summer rain on the window, watch the time float on.
Hi everyone, so today is Friday, May 5th. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month. If you didn't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's definitely a really exciting time for all mental health therapists. It's a time where we get to spread awareness, connect with community. And so traditionally for me, what I've ended up doing is always picking a topic to focus in on during Mental Health Awareness Month over on Instagram. And so what I decided to focus in on is providing mental health awareness for my community, the Latina community, and specifically with the Mexican American community, because that is the majority of my client base and potential client base. It's not all of my clients, but it's the majority, and it's also the majority here where I live in the RGV. And so I really wanted to focus in uncovering topics related to mental health and how it connects to our history, intergenerational trauma. So those are topics that are very much touched within my therapy sessions, and I wanted to provide more psychoeducation on that for the community. So that is what I am focusing on, and I have my first post on there if you want to go ahead and check that out. And I ended up sharing a video on there that I found through my local university, my alma mater. They had this video linked on their website. And so if this is a client population that you are working with or that you're thinking of working with, I'm going to go ahead and link the video down below in the description box, because it's so important to understand the historical impact. It's so important to understand our clients' history, and not just current events, but what has really been going on generationally and for many years, generations upon generations, because it can still affect many clients today within their families. Families may be very confused as to why they're exhibiting certain behaviors. So having this psychoeducation connection with our history is a really huge missing link. I thought I would talk to you all about what I decided to focus in on, and hopefully also inspire you, because if you're a student, maybe this is something that you're going to be doing in the future or currently doing if you have a social media account, getting to spread awareness. And I want to encourage you to have fun with it, to think of topics that really matter to you, matter to your potential clients or future potential clients, to the community that you're servicing. Oops, sorry, my husband just texted me if I wanted dinner. I am good. I'm honestly so excited because I got to collaborate with Monica, and I still cannot believe it. Monica is someone who has inspired me so much, and I've talked about her before on my channel, but you know, as an aspiring Latina counselor, Mexican American, getting to see someone else do the things that you really wanted to do and to spread awareness and inspiration and encouragement, she is honestly just such a light and so incredible at what she does. And so to get to collaborate with her and film a video, film a podcast is just so exciting. And for Mental Health Awareness Month, she planned to talk about mental health within the Latina, Latinx, Latino community. And so we ended up talking about so many really great topics. So definitely go subscribe to her channel, and if you can, go support that video. I would really appreciate it so much, especially because some of you have reached out to me wanting to learn more, and I feel like this is a really great opportunity to do that, because you're getting to learn from two Mexican American women, two Latinas who have different lived experiences. Some things are similar, some things are different, and we talk about so many things. And with that being said, my plan for today is I have 2 therapy clients, which is nice because the rest of my week was so busy. I had a total of 12 clients this week, which is more on the higher end for me personally. And I'm also going to be giving a book review for this book right here. So this is For Brown Girls with Sharp Edges and Tender Hearts, A Love Letter to Women of Color by Prisca Dorcas Mojica Rodriguez. And I have so many thoughts on this book. I cried a lot as I read this book. It really resonated with me on a personal level. And so I can definitely see how it could do the same for other clients, and depending, because there's topics that might not resonate with some people, there's topics that really might. And so I'm excited to really dive into this book. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep for my client session, and when I'm done, we'll go ahead and get into the review do part of this video. Okay everyone, so I am back. I just ended up finishing my client session. I love getting to see my clients, and honestly it was just a really great session. I got very emotional because I get so proud of my clients. My next session is until 4, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you all about this book. This book by Priska made me cry. It made me feel this cathartic release of tension. I'm honestly speechless and wanting to tell you about this book because I'm still processing it. I finished reading it this morning, so let me go ahead and start off like I usually do by telling you all the table of contents. And so what I love so much about this book is that it felt like a memoir mixed in with really insightful information, so you get to learn a lot about Priska herself, the things that she's gone through in life, and she weaved that in. Just starting off, can we just take a moment and look how she dedicated this book? For the difficult daughters. As soon as I read that, I was like, I'm sold. So the table of contents has the introduction, chapter 1, volunteerism, chapter 2, colorism, chapter 3, imposter syndrome, chapter 4, myth of meritocracy, chapter 5, politics of respectability, chapter 6, toxic masculinity, chapter 7, intersectionality, chapter 8, the male gaze, chapter 9, white fragility, chapter 10, and I'm gonna completely mispronounce this, but decoloniality. I definitely learned a new word there because I've never heard that said that way. And then we end with the conclusion and acknowledgements. I feel like I say this about every book that I've shared with you all so far. I actually wish I had this book when I was younger, and I'm even talking about like my teenage years. A lot of the conversations within this book when it comes to religion and imposed religion or Christianity and religious trauma, that is what hit me the hardest because I have experienced religious trauma for an extensive amount of years throughout my life. And so being able to read that in this, it just felt so validating, and I validated myself over it, but being able to read it in a book, like I've shared with my therapy clients too, when you're able to see your experiences written in this way and in such a beautiful and powerful way, I cried as I was reading this book. It doesn't happen to me very often when I'm reading books, but this was the book that I really truly needed, and I cannot recommend it enough. But I also know that not all the topics within this book might be something that someone wants to read about, because there's definitely a lot of deconstructing that this author did when it's come to different systems of oppression, which she goes over in her book. And so I'm gonna go ahead and read you all some of my favorite quotes now from the book, just to give you an idea, because I feel like sometimes we might read the table of contents, or we might read the back of the book or a summary, and we don't always truly get a feel of what the book is actually going to be like. So on page 3 she says, I write for BIWOC, I write for immigrants, I write for those of us who have been harmed by toxic theologies, I write for those of us whose hearts are first broken by our dads. I write so that you can feel seen and held. But this book is not for everyone. So definitely something, like I said earlier, to keep in mind about this book, where it might be really good for some clients or for some people, and it might not be the right fit for someone else. But I definitely did not expect this one to hit me so personally as it did. Like I hoped. I heard really good things about it, and at least for me, this was a 5 out of 5 star read book. I loved it so much. Page 4, America was like this abusive girlfriend. She said she was here to provide opportunities across the board, but on the ground and in my life, everything felt harder to accomplish. When I failed at becoming the American dream, I was blamed for not working hard enough. America was never America to me, because America was never the America she said she was. I also learned some new terminology within this book. One of the terms that I learned is mujerista, is a Latina feminist liberation theology, and part of this theory prioritizes the poor and disenfranchised above anyone else. Now in chapter 1, the author goes into volunteerism and how specifically this affected her and her upbringing in Nicaragua, and that is where the author is originally from, her and her family. And she talks about how the US played a role in basically dismantling Nicaragua and implanting their own people to take control and to basically take the resources. And she talks about how toxic it is for like certain church programs or certain volunteer programs to send people over there, and specifically white people, and the impact that that had on her in her childhood and on her family. She talks about good experiences that she's had and the difference between the two versus like a dentist or a doctor going to provide aid versus someone going and taking pictures, you know, of these children and having this experience where they get to go back home and just act like nothing happened. Now, the people sending this very important stuff decided that they needed to see the faces of the people whose lives they were changing. They not only expected our gratitude, but they also wanted time with us. I do not have very many Nicaraguan childhood memories that do not include volunteerists, or as they like to benevolently call themselves, missionaries. I call short-term white helpers volunteers because that is what they were doing, touring our country and our people and disguising their tourism with the good deeds of helping us. After hearing about a series of devastating natural disasters and a massively traumatic civil war, a white American church sent missionaries to Nicaragua. They offered aid along with their agenda to save us. These were Christians seeking to save our spiritual souls, Protestants aiming to convert Catholics. When my Catholic parents converted to this Protestantism, our new church required that we become hosts and often guides to the hordes of missionary groups that came to visit our home country. It was and continues to be about the feeling we gave them about themselves. They had feelings about my poverty, about my brownness, and they seemed to feel good about saving me. They loved seeing how little we had, as it helped them appreciate how much they had back at home. Waiting for the next shipment of goods, they got to go home feeling safer in their distance from our poverty. We had to welcome them to our lands with our arms wide open, as though their country had no role in causing our distress, as if their country had not gained power and wealth when their government stole our resources and brought war to our lands, as if their comfort and safety didn't come from our suffering and endangerment. They wanted us to say mil gracias to their smiling faces, as if reparations are not due, deserved, and rightfully ours. And again, if you continue to read the book, she has a lot of insight, knowledge, and experiences into what really happened in Nicaragua, and I've talked about it in a previous video. It's so important to know the history of the clients that we're helping and the intergenerational trauma that can come from experiencing things like this and the role that the United States has played in that. It's very important. Chapter 2, the chapter of colorism, was something that also hit very home for me because it is very prominent within the Latina culture and it stems from the impacts of colonization. A chapter that I also really enjoyed was chapter 3, which is imposter syndrome, and it really dives into her experiences and provides a lot of really good knowledge on it too. While Black and Latino students are not intellectual frauds, the education system often transmit messages that suggest the opposite. And then the author talks about how she really struggled with imposter syndrome throughout grad school, which is really important to know because it's something that, again, I talk about with my therapy clients who are also grad students. And I related to this so much because I felt the same way. She says, as a first-generation student, I did not have much knowledge in terms of what a statement of purpose was supposed to be, and I certainly couldn't get help from my family or friends. I just did what I had always done, and that was ask the internet and hope for the best. I had Googled how to write one. Exactly. I have Googled my way through life as a first-generation student, and that's why this community means so much to me, because I want to help create a space where others don't have to go through what I did, and sometimes that also takes a toll on me, you know, and comes with grief, you know, as being the one who had to Google everything and had to find answers myself, you know, as being the one also giving answers. So I try to take moments for rest for myself too. It's so important. I was trying to find my worth and validation from an institution designed for white intellectuals. The ivory tower is ivory for a reason. It is not ebony, it is not the color of honey, nor the color of café con leche, and I was never meant to thrive there until I understood that my validation was not going to come from my predominantly white institution. I was going to keep struggling. But back then, I was not well versed in white supremacy and the various systems that uphold it. Because of individualism, I was unable to see that this was not about me, but about us all. Our wins are ours and our losses are ours, and they belong to our communities who encourage us. When we don't seek white approval and PWIs, we can look to our Black and brown peers and our chosen family who show us how to resist and how to be seen by one another. Chapter 4, Meritocracy is the belief that hard work will pay off. It is the classic rags to riches story, a promise that we are told is reachable for anyone across all races, genders, sexualities, and backgrounds. However, despite rare expectations, meritocracy is a myth. Gatekeepers use the myth of meritocracy to distract busy working class and working poor folks with so much self-blame when they fall short that they will not think to revolt against their oppressors. Chapter 4 was a very powerful one because it ended up triggering a lot of memories for me within my school years in elementary, middle school, high school, university, interactions I've had in internships and practicums. It just brought a wave of memories and emotions for me of people who I consider to be gatekeepers, as this author shares and talks about her experiences. And it was a lot for me to sit with because I recognize those things, but there were some memories that I hadn't even thought about in years. So that is what I mean by I cried a lot through this book, because it was a very therapeutic experience, because that is what we're told within my culture and within the Latina culture, that if you work hard, you know, if you go to school, if you work hard, you will make something of yourself and you'll be okay and you'll have this American dream and better life. And it's not true. And the more you look through history, the more you look through things like this, you're able to really dismantle those thoughts. And that's also why I love sharing with you all the importance of working smarter and not harder. In grad school, I had a complete switch for myself when I came to this realization as well, that it was not about working harder, it was about working smarter and being able to outsmart these systems that create these roadblocks and these obstacles for us. And one of the biggest ones is community care and leaning into community instead of this westernized ideal of individualism. That is one way that we break through, and that is one of the main reasons why I started this YouTube channel. As you all know, if you've been watching since I first started or you've been catching up on my videos, that was my why I ended up making this, because I was tired of the roadblocks. I was tired of hearing my fellow therapists, other POC and other therapists in training who weren't able to do the things that they wanted to do because they didn't have the knowledge and access to those resources. So yeah, this book just helped me reflect so much on all of that for sure. I met people who were rejected by society, and somehow they had used that friction to energize themselves. They did not make themselves small for anyone. They used their accomplishments as armor, not only to break into these institutions, but to then smash the walls and glass ceilings so that more can come through. I didn't need to assimilate with my white privileged peers. I had to learn survival skills from my BIPOC peers. I learned to lean into those friendships and fight alongside them. Some days you will forget that your mommy is brilliant and strong because she might make herself small around gatekeepers and might not have the same strategies you use for maneuvering in uninviting spaces. Some days you will forget that your papi is hardworking and strong because everyone says that if you work hard enough, you will make it. And he works hard every day and has not made it and might never make it. I'm about to cry again. This book got me. This book really just is such a beautiful work of art, and I'm so thankful and grateful that this author was able to write this and put it out into the world. This author also talks about the racism and her really horrible experiences with microaggressions, all of the things that she's experienced. So reading her story alongside with these points and these quotes that I'm saying will make a lot more sense. Listen, I could go on forever about this book because it was so impactful. Like I said, 5 out of 5 star reads, and it's definitely worth something reading to vet out first if it would be good for certain clients or not, because as I was reading this book, all I kept thinking, and my husband was next to me as I was reading this, so he was seeing me react to it the whole time. I was just saying, oh my gosh, did she just say that? And I would sit with it, and all I could think about was, I needed someone to say that. I needed someone to say it exactly like this, because this is how I feel about it on a personal level. There's so many quotes that will stay with me through life. There's so many pages that I'm going to share with my own therapy clients. It was just, like I said, it was beautiful. I highly recommend this book if you're someone going into academic spaces, as I know most of you are. And I also recommend this book if you are a non-POC therapist or therapist in training and you're wondering and asking yourself, how can I help these communities? How can I be a part of this? Because the reality is that these systems are set in place and they have not made it available or provided enough resources for enough of us as people of color to break through, which leaves a lot of our communities without access to working with us, which is why it's still important for non-POC therapists and therapists in training to be aware of these things. And so if you were to ask me, what books do you recommend for me as a non-POC therapist in training, I recommend books like this, the kind of books that aren't created to uphold white fragility. There's a whole chapter about white fragility in this that's important to sit with. And again, I can't stress enough that these are the type of books that need to be read, because these are the type of things that if you're sitting with a client or even just a friend who's a person of color, these are the kind of things that we're thinking, that we're feeling, and we might not even be able to say because the power dynamics are not equal. Also, if you're new to my channel, you're like, is she really talking about this right now? Hey, hi, yes, we talk about these things here on my channel. We talk about how politics are affecting our community. We talk about how religion or religious trauma is affecting our community. All of those taboo topics that we're not supposed to talk about, we talk about them here. I talk about them here, and I hope it is understood that me doing that as a person of color, as a Latina, is scary as hell. It is not easy to do that, and yet I'm trying my best to use my own level of privilege to be able to do this, because I remember a time when I was in grad school and I was a student and I couldn't speak up about these things. I didn't feel comfortable enough to speak up about these things, and it's all described in here as to why I and other students do not feel comfortable being able to do this or struggle to do this, and the impacts that that has on our own mental health. And so now that I work for myself and I don't care what other therapists or what institutions or other people think about me, I really try my best to be able to talk about these topics that I've cared about for so long and that really matter and impact my own therapy clients. And like I said, everyone, there is so much more to this book, but I hope that you enjoyed this review and getting to know a little bit more about this book. Definitely let me know in the comment section if it's something that you're interested in reading. And I truly hope that if some of the things that I shared about this book made you feel uncomfortable, that it's something that you can gradually sit with and work through, because it's the only way that we can truly enact sustainable change, one by one, within each of us and within our own communities. I'm going to leave you all now because I'm going to prep for my next therapy session.